Don't ignore it your way.
Hey everybody, once we start up, we'll have, you'll be able to, when there's time for questions and answers, you'll be able to talk, the microphone will be live then, instead of muted actually during meditation and everything. I'll be able to hear you from what they hear, so if you're not loud enough, I'll let you know, and then you can come closer to the microphone. But I, if you speak, project your voice loud enough, it's going to pick you up definitely. It's a really good microphone. So, yeah, should be good.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. You can see everyone's beautiful faces. I love it. Anyway, I'm Tessa. I'm the manager of the temple here. But I wanted to give a quick reminder. We might have already said it. If you have a question for Bhante Kusaram, please approach the cushion in front of the microphone so he can hear you and our Zoom audience can hear you as well. Okay, thank you. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Everyone. I love it.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, my name is Todd Nielsen. I'm a longtime member of the temple at the Blue Lotus. Today, our guest speaker is Bhante Kusala, and he will talk about the old age and the last years of the Buddha. Bhante Kusala was born in Sri Lanka, and he entered the monastic life at the age of 16 in 2004 at Sri Gangagiri Vihara in southern Sri Lanka. In 2007, he received his higher ordination. He did his undergraduate and graduate studies at the University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka, majoring in the Pali language. In 2012, he moved to Italy and studied cognitive science and engaged in mindfulness-based research work at the University of Trento. In 2014, he moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and pursued a master's degree at Harvard University. He has been a visiting lecturer at the University of Peradeniya. Bhante Kusala helps children, youth, and adults with their spiritual counseling needs. In 2018, he was invited to the Great Lakes Buddhist Vihara in Michigan to continue his Dharmic services. So welcome, Bhante Kusala.
Thank you very much, Todd, for the kind introduction. And thank you, Bhante Sujato, Bhante Asaji, Bhante Badya, and the Bhantes for inviting me this morning to guide you all in meditation and speak about the old age and the last days of the Buddha. So before we begin, let us sit quietly for some time and prepare our minds to this guided meditation, and you will hear the bell momentarily. That's a sign for you to close your eyes, putting your palms together in a comfortable way, allowing putting your hands in a comfortable way, not the palms, I'm sorry. Allowing your hands to rest, your shoulders to rest, and taking a deep breath. So that you notice the changes that are happening in your body. Such as your shoulders easing out and your jaws relaxing. Allow the muscles to relax. Also pay attention to your sitting bones. Now breathe in peace. Breathe out, let go. Peace. Let go. Peace. Let go. Simply scan your body from head to toes, making yourself comfortable, making sure that you are seated comfortably enough. And the position of your hand, the position of your legs, your feet, that they don't disturb you for a quiet sitting. Keeping a gentle smile on your face. You now begin scanning the body thoroughly. Your eyebrows, your forehead, relax. Around your eyes, your face, the back of your head, your earlobes, your cheeks, chin, and your neck. Anything above your neck, you may intentionally relax. Now your shoulders, chest, and the stomach. Your spine, the waistline, down to your knees, the thigh muscles. Relax. Your shin bones, your ankles, the toes and the soles of your feet. Having relaxed these, you move away from any bodily agitations, liberating from the body as much as possible, grounding to this earth, getting deeply, deeply rooted so that you feel stable and less affected by the body. You're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations and thinking need to be turned off so your brain can cool down and relax. To effectively do that, we will choose breathing technique. The breath is happening now. The breath is not happening in the past or the future. So let us bring our attention to the breathing, to the breath. Mindfully you breathe in. Mindfully you breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Sato Asasati. Mindful indeed, you breathe in. Sato Pasasati. Mindfully indeed, you breathe out. Taking a long breath, you know you are taking a long breath. Exhaling a long breath, you know you are exhaling a long breath. Dighang vasa santo, dighang asya samiti pajanati. Breathing in long, you know you are breathing in long. Dighang va pasya santo, dighang pasya samiti pajanati. Breathing out long, you know you are breathing out long. Or breathing in short, you know you are breathing in short. Breathing out short, you know you are breathing out short. Long or short, inhaling or exhaling, you know as they happen right now. Sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati passa sissamiti sikkati. Being sensitive to the whole body of breath. You breathe in and you breathe out. It is easy to get distracted in the silence. When that happens, use the rain technique. Recognize when you are distracted, accept it, accept your present, investigate quickly. That will help you to let go. And N refers to non-identifying with the situation. So you peacefully transition to breathing again. Recognize, accept, investigate, non-identify. Sustaining your attention on breath. You know the breath however it happens. Pasambhayam kaya sankharam, tranquilizing the breath. Passasissamiti sikkati, passasissamiti sikkati. You train yourself breathing in, breathing out, tranquilizing the breath body. Bring up energy when you feel any sloth and torpor, any involvement with sensual feelings or aversion, doubting, or any restlessness that you may experience, making yourself energized. Now, gladdening your mind, you bring your attention to the lightness, the luminosity of the mind, and you still continue being aware of your breath in a subtle manner. To feel the expansion of the mind as the thoughts are less and less noticed in the mind becomes the tranquility. Mind becomes the space. Whatever the shape of the container it has, mind becomes it. Making more space for friendliness. You make this an opportunity to cultivate wholesome thoughts, grow them. Friendliness is making you feel so comfortable, joyful, leading onward toward equanimity. Radiate friendliness to the beings in the universe. Being passionate about compassion, radiate compassion. Radiate joy, whether you feel it right now or not. Radiate equanimity. These can be radiated infinitely. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be peaceful and calm. May good things happen to all beings, and may there be every blessing in every walk of their lives. May they hear good things, feel good things, meet with good things. May all beings be free from illness and danger. At least you have a wish of that type about all beings. With such good intention, your mind has Samma Sankappa, wholesome thoughts. Let us now come out of the meditation. You will hear the bell ringing, and you can slowly come out of your meditation. Excellent. If you heard any noises, that is because monks here just got the second shot of COVID vaccine and they are very excited about it. So joyful about it. So you share that joy and it kind of blends with the moment right now. And so let me pay homage to the Buddha before I begin talking, and we will then talk about the old age and the last days of the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And I trust that you all are having a very good morning, wherever you are joining from. So this is the Vesak time, the time we think more about the Buddha's life. And you have been listening to talks from venerable monks about the Buddha's birth, his enlightenment, and his teachings. So today we experience the Buddha as yet another human being who went through what we have been going through, but in a slightly, in a not really slightly, but in a very different way. Like when he got sick, he knew that his body was so fragile, and he knew also how to not be so affected by it. He went into meditation, and he had the mind power to free his body from his experience and stay free from the body until that sickness passed. So I think most information about the Buddha's life is recorded without telling us what year these things happened and what age he was experiencing what he was experiencing. But if you go to long discourses of the Buddha, the number 16 tells us about his last year when he was 80 years old, the way he experienced his life. So this is the longest of all discourses, and it has extended narrative about the Buddha's life until toward the last day and last moment of his life. So this has vivid and really clear details. So it's an ideal entry point for us to know about the Buddha as a person and understand how the Buddhist community coped about his passing. In that, the Buddha says, I am now old, elderly, and senior. I am advanced in years and have reached the final stage of life. In his own words, he says, Ahanko Panananda. He's telling this to his attendant monk, Ananda. Jinno etarahi jinno buddho mahallako addhagato vayo anupatto. I am currently 80 years old. Asi tiko me vayo vattati. Just as a feeble cart keeps going by relying on straps. Sayathapi ananda jajjara sakatang veta missakena yapeti. In the same way, the realized one's body keeps going by relying on straps. Or so you would think. So now, Jajjara Sakata, this is a very clear image of a cart that is really falling apart, but it just is put together with the straps it has on. So the Buddha's body is like just like that, so fragile, so weak, so feeble. And so what he did, Evameva Koanand, sometimes not focusing on any signs, he goes into cessation of certain feelings, enters and remains in the signless immersion of his mind. Only then his body becomes more comfortable. So this is very different from an ordinary human being. He went into cessation of perceptions of feelings, so he was able to stay free from afflictions of the body. Having said that, the Buddha says, be an island to yourself. Be a refuge, be a protection to yourself. And how do you become a protection to yourself? Through Kayanupassana, investigating or observing the bodily aspects. Vedananupassana, observing the feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neither painful nor pleasant feelings, and observing the different aspects of the mind. Lustful mind, mind that is expanding, mind that is joyful, and also investigating phenomena, the hindrances as they occur, as they subside, and as they never come to arise again. These are ways that you can guard yourself so that you become an island, a refuge to yourself. This is what the Buddha taught to Venerable Ananda, having said that the Buddha himself is very old now, and only way to protect yourself from the pains of an old body is to cultivate 4 satipatthanas, 4 ways to establish mindfulness on body, feelings, mind, and mind objects. So after the Buddha's 55th year, many incidents happened, and the Buddha when he reached the 80th year, so he kind of wanted to be free from all the busy towns and busy wealthy merchants looking after him, all the kings. So he started journeying toward Kusinara, where he passed away into Parinirvana. So one would think that he became enlightened, and what is there for him to do when he has passed away? Like, did he attain any other stage when he attained parinirvana, he really was only going through the stages he had already attained and then just letting go of his body. That's all that was there for him to do. So he kind of let go of his body. So he decided to spend his last days in the peaceful, simple surroundings of Kusinaga, which is a very remote place, a small village in the northern part of India. He preferred to leave behind him any kind of large and prosperous cities such as Rajagaha, Savatthi with their crowds, their merchants and kings. So starting point of his journey to the country was Rajagaha, the capital of Magadha. He journeyed on foot, accompanied by a large number of monks. It was a long journey, and the party of monks traveled through many cities and villages on their way. By this time, Venerable Rahula, the Buddha's son, Yasodhara had already passed away. And also the Buddha's two chief disciples, Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, also passed away. During the journey, he continuously taught about Sila, Samadhi, and Prajna, virtues, stillness of mind, and cultivating wisdom. In many ways, he taught about the Eightfold Path, cultivating the Eightfold Path. So he taught until his last moment. For 45 years, his mission was about teaching beings, whoever came to him or whoever he met, he taught about how to overcome the sansaric suffering. One teaching he gave reminded the disciples to practicing the 7 factors of awakening: mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, energy, joy, tranquility, and stillness, and come into equanimity, balance of all conditions. So then, again and again, he taught the disciples to strive diligently until their wishes are fulfilled, until they have lived the holy life to the fullest. So let us talk about the last illness he had. It was like a present day dysentery condition he experienced. So when the Buddha came to Belur, a city where he stayed, he became so sick. So he had severe sickness and he had violent and deadly pains. But mindful and self-possessed, he bore the pains without complaint. And then a thought came to his mind. That was a moment where he could have passed away, but then he thought it would not be right for him to pass away without addressing the monks, without taking leave from the order of monks. So let me now, by a strong effort of the willpower, suppress this sickness. So he suppressed the sickness and the sickness abated. When he began to recover, Venerable Ananda came to the Buddha and said, I was so worried about you, the Blessed One. I have seen how you suffered. And at the sight, my body also became very weak. This is Venerable Ananda saying that. I just didn't know which direction to go. I just lost the sense of any directions. He didn't know, like the Venerable Ananda saying. I don't know which direction to go north or right or south or any direction. He lost any sense of direction. So when Venerable Ananda said that, the Buddha said, why do you depend on me so much? Like I have given you all the teachings, and even the monks should not be depending on me. Or I should not be depend on them. I should not be depending on them. So the Buddha makes himself free from any involvement with the venerable monks who were there and everywhere else. So having taught that to Venerable Ananda, Buddha said, because I'm old and feeble, um, I have contributed my best to the Sangha, and it is time for me to say final goodbye. But then the Buddha also made a statement that I have cultivated Chanda, Chitta, Virya, Vimansa, the four strivings. Chanda is strong willpower, Chitta is the thought patterns. The Chanda is like desire for meditation, and combined with that is the willpower. So Chitta, I think I would translate that as the intention, and Virya, the energy, and Vimansa, investigation. When anyone has cultivated them to the fullest, they are able to sustain without passing away for an eon. It's a very long period of time. When this was said, Venerable Ananda was not paying any attention to it because Venerable Ananda was already confused about the Buddha's, being weak and passing away, and he kind of did not really process that fully. But at a later time, when the Buddha declared that he was going to pass away on a certain day in 3 months, Venerable Ananda was really like affected by that statement, and he said, well, wait a minute, you have said that when someone has cultivated the four strivings, that they are able to sustain their life for an eon or a half eon, a kalpa. But at that point, the Buddha had already made the decision that now I have accomplished my mission. So what is there for me to do? What else is there for me to do? When the Buddha has thought that way, he had already made his mind that there is no need for him to stay any longer. So he made that statement in front of Venerable Ananda that he is going to pass away. The Buddha said, "You leave me, Ananda, for a while." So this is kind of taking a break even from Venerable Ananda and making that decision, making sure that he's not going to change his decision. And in his very last days, he arrived at Pava for his last meal, and the son uh, of the village goldsmith, whose name was Chunda, invited the monks to a meal called Sukaramadava. This is called the boar's delight. Some scholars believe it was a special delicious dish of mushrooms. The pigs dig the earth and find this mushroom so that it has Sukara, the pig, name on it. While others believe it to be a dish of wild boar's flesh. We have no idea. So the Buddha advised Chunda to serve him only with the Sukaramadava that he had prepared. The other food that Chunda had prepared could be served to the other monks. And then, having said that, after the meals were served, the Buddha told Chunda, "Chunda, if any Sukaramadava is left over, bury it in a hole. I do not see anyone in the world other than me who could digest the food if they ate it." "So be it, Lord," said Chunda, and buried the leftover in the ground. So he went to the Buddha, and after paying homage, to him sat down at one side. Then the Buddha taught him in Dhamma that the Buddha also praised, by praising Chunda for the meal that had refreshed and strengthened him after his journey. But soon after this, the Buddha suffered from an attack of the dysentery he had been suffering from earlier, and sharp pains came upon him. By an effort of will, he was able to bear the pain. Though extremely weak, the Buddha decided to continue on immediately to Kusinaga, a little more than 6 miles away. After a painful struggle, he reached a grove of sala trees just outside of the town, and then told Venerable Ananda, "Please make a couch ready for me, with its head to the north direction between the twin sala trees." And at that point, the two sala trees were covered with blossoms of flowers. That was because of the influence of the divine beings, and they also poured flowers from the sky as an honor, as as a way of worshipping the Buddha. So many, and then the Buddha told Venerable Ananda to go to the town and inform the people in the town that the Buddha was going to pass away that night, um, on the full moon day of Vesak, about 2600 years ago. At that point, Venerable Ananda was nowhere to be seen. He vanished, and he kind of leaned against a door frame and started weeping about the Buddha's passing. So then Venerable the Ananda was brought back to the Buddha with the Buddha's message. And then the Buddha said, "Enough, Ananda, do not sorrow and cry. Have I not already repeatedly told you that there is separation and parting from all the things desired, dear, and beloved? How is it possible that anything that has been born, has had a beginning, should not die? Such a thing is not possible. Ananda, you have served me with acts of loving kindness, helpfully, gladly, sincerely, and so too in your words and your thoughts. You have gained merit, Ananda. Keep on trying, and you will soon be free from all human weaknesses. In a very short time, you too will become an arahant." And this was true. Within the next 3 months, he became an arahant, and he was one of the members among the 500 monks who attended the first Sangha Council. And then the Buddha's last disciple came to pay respect to the Buddha. That was Subhadda. Enough. So Subhadda, having approached the Buddha, Venerable Ananda said, "Enough, Subhadda, the Buddha is very weary. Do not trouble him." The Buddha heard this conversation and asked him to come. And then Subhadda asked this one last question. And the question was about other teachers. So they say that they are enlightened. Is that true? And then the Buddha said, "Don't worry about them. Any teaching any teaching that does not teach eightfold path, the noble truth, will not have any person who is a stream winner, once returner, non-returner, and an enlightened one, someone who has become an arahant." Having said that, the Buddha asked Subhadra to strive diligently. At this point, Venerable Ananda came and asked, "How do I proceed with your corpse upon your passing away?" The Buddha said, don't get involved with that. Let lay people handle it. You just mind on your practice of meditation. So this is very truly the Buddha being the Buddha. And in his last words, before I finish, the Buddha said, Handadani bhikkhave amantayamivo vayadhamma sankhara appamadena sampadeta. This is my last advice to you. All component things in the world are subject to decay. They are not lasting. Work hard to gain your own liberation. So this is what I had to present today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So the Buddha's last words inspired many monks. So they stopped weeping. Instead, they sat down under those trees and began meditating. And the Buddha, during that time, he went through many jhanas, many jhana stages, meditative absorptions, going from level to level, one after the other, deeper and deeper. Then he came out of the meditative absorption for the last time and passed away into nirvana, leaving nothing whatsoever behind that can cause rebirth again in this or any other world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, any questions?
Did you say that the Buddha's last words were concern non-attachment?
Concerned non-attachment?
Yes.
His last words involve something like Handadani bhikkhave amantayamivo vayadhamma sankhara. All the conditioned things decay. Appamadena sampadeta, strive diligently. When he said vayadhamma sankhara, all the conditioned things decay, he meant, practicing non-attachment toward all the conditioned things, because we normally get over involved or involved with the conditioned things until we experience suffering of some plane of existence, making conditions within ourselves so that upon death we will be born according to our attachments. I think the statement suggests that the Buddha meant not to be attached to any conditioned thing. Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
Any other question?
Ante, I have a question.
Yes.
So some schools say that the Buddha died because his karma, his good and bad karma, simply ran out, and so it didn't affect him anymore, and he entered nirvana. Some schools say that he passed away because he wanted to teach. He wanted to teach the impermanence of all things, including himself. And some people say it's a combination of both of those things. Do you have an opinion about that?
Thank you, Todd, for the very wonderful question. The Kammakaya, it's a Kammakaya. All karmas have ceased when the Buddha has already become enlightened. So that's how we, and also Arahants, have experienced Kammakaya, that they don't produce new karma, but the idea that old karma can still be around, and when there are conditions that these karmas can ripe and give and affect us. So this is an understanding in the scripture, in the teachings. And the three ideas that you presented, that the Buddha passed away because of karma, or he passed away that he wanted to teach about impermanence, or a combination of both. I think we can agree that the any death, according to the Buddha's teaching, he kind of shows us, taking a lamp for an example. The light of the lamp, sometimes it goes away when the oil is burnt off, and it also goes away when the wick is burnt off. Or but because of both oil and the wick getting uh, burnt off. Or it can be known when an outer condition, any abrupt sudden condition happens, just like the lamp light, the wind blows and the light disappears. So four conditions are similar to ayukaya, your lifespan ending, kammakaya, your karma ending, ubhayakaya, both ayu and karma ending, and or any other outside conditions. So I think it's clear that the Buddha reached old age and he could have sustained. He made that statement, but then he also decided, oh, I have achieved, I have done, I have accomplished my mission, and there is no need for me to hang around. Um, we are so unlucky that he made that decision. I so wish that Venerable Ananda, I also don't know why he has to make that invitation. So I think someone in the world has to make that invitation. So there is a need for the world to sustain the Buddha, but the Buddha saw that there was no such need. Anyway, coming to your question again, it's hard for me to think that it was karma, but I think it's just accepting the reality that anyone who reaches the full age has to let go at some point. Some people sustain until they see their children or grandchildren. Some people fight until that moment. So your willpower is so strong. Some people just wait until they can confess something they had to. The Buddha did not have any of that. He was able to even say that in 3 months on so and so day, I will pass away. And he was already like, he had, I think, less karma affected him at that point. But of course, he had dysentery. I think there is karmic stories behind that, why he suffered from that. So it's combination of many things, I would say, to answer your question.
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome. And we are past behind the time, but I can stay around and answer your questions if you still have questions from the audience.
I noticed some synchronicity with the passing of the Buddha being 2,600 years ago on the 26th day of the month on the full moon, which was also this year. Do you think that there is any significance to that?
I'm sorry, I had to increase my volume, but if you can speak up, I may be able to grasp the question. So,
A little bit closer.
I said there was, I noticed some synchronicity between the Buddha passing 2,600 years ago on the 26th day of the month on the full moon, and the full moon was also this year on the 26th. Do you think that there's any significance to those synchronicities?
interesting, except that we don't see any Buddha attaining great parinirvana on this 26th. We didn't see that, but we did see the same full moon that the Buddha saw when he attained full parinirvana, mahaparinirvana. I didn't know that he passed away on 26th. To be honest, I didn't know the exact date, whether it happened to be like some days it may be a different date of the full moon of the month. The full moon day will be on a different date, so hard to assume that. But I think coincidentally it may be the 26th of this month too. But I want to say that when the moon reached the full stage, we do notice that the ocean rises, just like that. People in Asia, particularly in Sri Lanka, they get more devoted, that they kind of sense, because we are cosmic, biological, chemical, sort of spiritual beings, we kind of get pulled towards spirituality. Therefore, people spend the day and night or many days in the monastery meditating. That's a nature kind of, I think we are kind of losing that connection now because we are inside buildings, much less spending time, much less in the nature. But if you traveled in the open like the Buddha and monks, I think toward the full moon, you also can kind of tune in and give fully to yourself, to the universe, and your meditation will be so good. So I think this is like a cycle. It's like bodies have cycles, minds have cycles, emotions have cycles. So this is like the spiritual cycle that we need to be sensitive about. And I'm sharing that. So I'm sure some of you may have already experienced that. And I love when the full moon comes and so I kind of, it's telling me to kind of sit more, do more, give more to the Buddha. So, um, so I kind of bravely tell myself, don't accept too many talks or don't get involved in too much teaching. Just do it. So, don't talk too much. Just do it. So that's what I tell myself. So, any other questions?
Good morning, Monte. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I studied the Native Americans who have lived thousands of years ago, and they have a very strong connection between the earth, the sky, the plants, the animals, and their spirituality. Did Buddha have or mention or write anything about his connection to the universe or the plants, the animals, the earth, and how they affected his spirituality or his enlightenment?
Absolutely, he did, and that's all the things he did all the time. Starting from his enlightenment, he spent seven uh, 7 weeks, and in one of those weeks, he was kind of reflecting on his awakening, showing gratitude to the tree under which he became enlightened. And this is called Animisalochana Puja. His eyes were glued to the tree, but he was in a deep trance. And all these life events also happened. His birth happened under trees, and his enlightenment happened under trees, and his passing away happened under trees. And he strongly told monks, you can't even pull a leaf from a tree. If you know the bond we have, you can't dig the earth. It affects the beings. So he was like telling monks to be so respectful of the nature. And even when you go into the forest, just don't wear kind of strong colors. That's why monks' colors are, supposedly very light. And, you don't attract, you don't, fear, you don't frighten those animals in the nature. So those are just few things. I think his teachings is all about. I don't know if he does, the connection with the full moon says that there's something significant, and also the earth quaking, trembling when he reached enlightenment, and when he reached, parinirvana, and when he was born. These are like the whole universe affecting. And it also says in the teaching, the long discourses, that in Mahaparinirvana Sutta, that a light arose in the universe when he was born, and when he became enlightened, and when he also reached Mahaparinirvana, in such a way that beings who are born in the darkest places could be seen because of that light. So these are like extraordinary, miraculous things in the nature that may have affected him, and he may have had more sense or more connection to these things than we do in our lives. And he said that he only spoke just a handful of things, and he has spoken about planet systems, hundreds and thousands of galaxies. How did he do that? We have no idea. So, and he also communicated with heavenly beings and Brahmas. How did he do that? That's because of his connection with everything. I think that answers your question. To his enlightenment, I'm sure those things also affected. The ability to see and experience these things must have definitely affected. I hope that.
Thank you very much, Bhante. We've run out of time. This is the last of the Vesak Day lectures. And so thank you so much for doing the last one.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
So let's transfer merits. May the suffering ones be suffering free, fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief from suffering. May the Devas and Nagas protect the dispensation and us all. May good things happen to all beings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So happy meditation. Happy Vesak too.